I hope you're all well. Well, today is Jensen's 3-month update. He's actually 3.5 months because, you know, that's life with a baby. I'm always late at doing everything. He is here, he's just feeding because he woke up just as I started to film. So he's doing really, really well. Major milestones wise, he started to roll over, which is just crazy. He was 13 weeks and 5 days. So it was only recently as well. Was it a week ago today? And yeah, he'd been trying to do it for a few days before. Every time I laid him on his back, he'd kind of like arch his back, kind of like a fish out of water, like as if he was trying to see something behind him, or like reach something with his mouth. And then I was at my friend's house changing his bum on the floor and he just flipped over, and he's been doing it ever since. His arms do get stuck underneath him, so he's kind of like doing a little army crawl on the floor, obviously not crawling. Although sometimes he does like lift his bum up, kind of like, I can't remember what the yoga pose is, but yeah, and it looks like he's gonna crawl, but he doesn't, which is good because I'm not ready for that yet. Another one, I'll go from the beginning. So he had his jabs. Oh my goodness. So at 11 weeks and 5 days, he had his first set of jabs. He had his first dose of Calpol, he was absolutely fine. And then after he had a second dose of Calpol, he was just inconsolable, like nothing would work. I'd put him on my boob, which is his main source of comfort, and you'd think that I'd put like poison in his mouth. He would just gag and scream, and yeah, just completely not like him because he's such a calm baby, such a good baby. He's not normally, he's not a crier, so I found it really, really difficult. And I tried him with a dummy before around, he was only like 2 days old, I think it was when I first tried it with him, and he didn't really want it. And then I tried it with him again like a couple weeks later when he had a bit of a fractious stage, and he still didn't want it. I didn't think it would work, but I tried it anyway and it worked. He just settled instantly. So it's like he just wanted to suck something, but he didn't, I don't know, maybe it was that he just didn't want to be held by me, or he didn't want feeding, he just wanted to suck. I don't really know. So anyway, that worked. And that night he slept from 9 in the evening till 7 in the morning. I did wake him up at 11 o'clock to feed him because he'd fed, I think his last feed was at like 6 o'clock, and then he was awake for a couple of hours. Fell asleep at 9 o'clock, and then I just thought, I don't want him to go too long without feeding, especially if he is maybe a bit poorly from the jabs. So yeah, I woke him at 11 and fed him, and he went straight back off and didn't wake up, oh my goodness, until 7 in the morning. So that was really, really good. And ever since then, up until this week, which has been a little bit difficult, that's continued. He'll go down about 7 o'clock in the evening with a feed, and then anytime he wakes up in the night, it's normally because his dummy's fallen out, so I put it back in and he goes straight off. There have been a couple of times, like during those couple of weeks, 3 weeks, where his dummy would fall out, so he'd wake up, I'd put it back in, and he'd kind of like push it back out again, because that's one thing as well, you can see like he'll use his fist and he'll like hook it out, and then sometimes if he wants it back in, you can see him like trying to push it back in. Clever little bean, aren't you? And if that happened a few times, I realised that he was actually hungry, so I would feed him, but on the whole, he was going all night without feeds. And still feeding fine in the day. There was no routine during the day for those few weeks. You know, he could be feeding hourly, he could go 4-hour stretches, he could have like a 3-hour nap in the day and another one in the afternoon, or he could just have little 10-minute naps. There was really no routine to it, but I didn't mind because he was sleeping through the night, so and that was like a major winner for me because, as you know, Jasper didn't sleep through the night until he was 13 months and 6 days old. But then last week, he started to get very fussy. He's teething as well. This is another major thing, he's teething. I've got amber beads for him, like a little anklet. And I've got Ashton and Parsons powder that I put in. And I've given him Calpol a couple of times when it's really, really been bothering him. And he's also been quite constipated. He pooed 3 days ago and he pooed today, but this is like the last couple of weeks. Really constipated, really, really smelly blow-offs, like really smelly. Kind of like this, how he's being now. Oh dear. So I just got to do it with hand pumping. And yeah, then just not sleeping through the night, and he'd be on my boob and then he'd just like pull off and cry, kind of like scream a little bit. And then I would try and hand express some milk and nothing was really coming out. So this last week has been really tough. Just if he's not crying because of his teeth, he's been crying because of his tummy. Now that he's pooed, the last couple of days his tummy's been okay. And up until today, the last couple of days, his teeth had been okay. Like, this isn't really making much sense. This is why I should do my updates on time. But yeah, the last few days, I thought there was something wrong with my milk supply. And I thought it was because I'd introduced the dummy. I thought maybe, you know, if he was hungry, I wasn't getting the signals because he was just like he was using the dummy instead of sending the signals to me to feed him. My boobs weren't filling up anymore. Oh my goodness. You're such a drama king. My boobs weren't filling up anymore. I wasn't getting that tingly let down sensation. He didn't sound like he was like gulping when he was drinking. It just sounded like he was comfort sucking all of the time, and he was wanting to be on my boob all of the time. And I tried to express some milk and I was getting like ½ ounce between both boobs, whereas normally I was getting at least 3 ounces between both boobs. So I thought my supply had gone and I'd ruined it from giving him a dummy, and I thought even though I'd got him to kind of sleep through the night, I'd ruined it because I was ending my breastfeeding journey. But I spoke to Sophie last night from Mumology, because she's a breastfeeding, I say support worker, that might not be her actual role, correct me if I'm wrong, Soph. And she basically said like she doubts that my supply's gone and it's probably not the dummy that's done it, because he was established in breastfeeding. So, you know, early on if you introduce a dummy that can affect breastfeeding, but she said at 14 weeks that's probably not it, but it might just be where he's going for such a long time at night, my boobs aren't, like they're thinking they don't need to produce as much milk. So she suggested last night that I feed him, put him to bed, which was about 8 o'clock, and then express in the evening, like just before I'm going to go to sleep. So it was about 11 o'clock when I did it, just so that my boobs aren't getting such a long gap like between producing milk. So I did that, and then I woke him up and I fed him that milk, and he had such a good night. He then slept right through till 5:30 when he woke up, and I could tell he needed a feed. I fed him and I could hear him guzzling, like he was really getting milk. So it's like my boobs just needed that kickstart, that one dream feed, just like for me to let them know that I still needed them to produce some milk. And now I can hear him guzzling away, so I think he was just fussy on this side because he ran out. So that's kind of an update on his sleep. So yeah, he is doing really, really well. He still sleeps in with us. He's in the snooze pod 3-in-1 bedside crib, which is right there inside his sleepy head. He sleeps in a sleep bag. I've just actually filmed a sleep products video, which will probably go live just after this one. Like bedtime for him tends to be kind of 7 till 7, 8 till 8-ish, depending how many times we wake up in the night. And then during the day, like I said, it could be anything from 1 long nap to 10 miniature naps to no naps whatsoever. So yeah, there's no routine there, but I don't really mind that. And feeding wise, again, I've kind of updated you on that. We are exclusively breastfeeding, apart from I've probably given him formula 3 times in total. And I've also expressed quite a lot of milk. So say I'll go to the gym or something like that, Pete can give him express milk in a bottle, or he had it in a cup the other day. Okay, so weight wise, I weighed him last week. So he was probably about 13.5 weeks, and he was 14 pounds, which is big for a baby of his age, or it's not like big, but it's a good size. However, it meant that he'd dropped from the 75th to the 50th or 51st, whatever it is, centile. So that was a bit of a worry, which I spoke to Sophie about as well, and she said that unless he's dropped 2 or more, like there's nothing to worry about. Not that there would necessarily be something to worry about, but that's kind of when you seek help and speak to someone. Unless he drops another centile or loses any weight, I'm kind of fine with it, and I'm just gonna see how things go. I think we were just having a funny 5 minutes. So what else? He's got cradle cap. It did get quite bad at one point, you know, when you kind of don't realise and then you look at it and you're like, oh, how have I let it get to that? But I just used some almond oil and a soft brush and managed to get most of it away. And then I'm going to try again, maybe tonight or tomorrow night, and get a bit more, but obviously I don't want to do it too much and then make his head all sore. His hair is starting to get lighter. It was quite dark when he was first born. It hasn't got much longer, like a little bit on top, but not anything crazy. Yeah, it's lighter. He's starting to get some golden tones in it, so I don't know if he's going to be blonde like Jasper. His skin seems to be quite sensitive. I think he might be like Jasper. It tends to be like, if I'm holding him, if he's in the sling and he's rubbing against my clothes, even though I use non-bio, I use like E-Cover, which is completely natural. Like, it's perfect for people with eczema and dermatitis. I use that because of Jasper. But I don't know if it's just like my clothes rubbing against his face, or like if other people hold him that obviously don't use that washing powder. His skin seems to be a little bit rashy sometimes on his face. Everywhere else is fine, it's not dry, just a little bit on his cheeks. And then he'll have days where he's absolutely fine. So I've been using the Aveey baby cream, which is what I used on Jasper. I used just the normal bog standard one on Jasper, but for Jensen I've got the baby one. I just didn't know they had a baby one when I was using it on Jasper. And that seems to be working, and I put that in the bath as well. He has a bath maybe 2 or 3 times a week, just because he doesn't need to be washed any more than that. So size-wise, he's in 3 to 6 month clothing. Some 3 to 6 month stuff is really tight on him, and then other stuff you can tell he probably had like a good month left in it, especially because he's not putting on weight as quickly as he was before. I just thought like, God, he's going to be in 6 to 9 month stuff by Christmas, but I don't think he will now. And then personality wise, he's just so happy. Me and Pete keep saying, like obviously jokingly, but he's definitely the best baby out of all of them. He's just so chilled out, so happy. He smiles, he coos, he's got like a really low husky voice. He giggles, he wants to kick his legs all the time and reach out for things, and he's just growing so quickly, which I know is what everyone says about their babies, but breaks my heart a little bit. Yeah, that's it. He's just a really, really happy baby. So I know that when he has been upset lately, it's because, you know, he's either been frustrated because he's not getting enough milk out of me, or his teeth have been hurting, or his stomach's been hurting. Yeah, I know he's not just like that kind of baby, if you know what I mean. And then me-wise, I am absolutely fine. I don't know, this is a bit TMI, but so I had a period after, I don't know, I'd say like a month or so, which lasted like normal time, normal kind of heaviness for me, kind of like 5-6 days, I would say. And then nothing for a few days. And then I would just have like the odd bits of bleeding for like 2 or 3 weeks. Well, maybe even more than that. And then I've not had another period since. So I'm kind of waiting before I do any kind of like going on the pill or anything like that. I'm not pregnant, by the way. That's definitely not possible. But yeah, that's something that I'm waiting for. My periods haven't got back to normal yet. With Jasper they did, but I have heard that when you breastfeed it can prolong it. So I don't know if that's just the case this time around. I don't know. Exercise wise, I'm pretty much back into the swing of exercise. I go to 2 or 3 classes a week if I have time, if I remember, if I can be bothered. And so I've been doing Pilates, body pump, what else, clubbercise. Yeah, nothing too strenuous, but just to really get me back in the mood. And it's really been amazing for my mood because, you know, being a new mum, it can be a little bit exhausting sometimes. So yeah, that's been great. If you've got any questions or any advice, tips or anything, please do leave them below. Please don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do, there's a little bell symbol next to it. If you click that, then you'll get notifications straight to your phone or your computer, iPad, whatever you're using, every time I upload a video. So you don't have to search or wait till you look on your home screen to know if I've uploaded. Thanks for watching, bye!